After watching the 50 Cent produced Diddy documentary, did it change how you viewed Suge's role at all? And people alleging that he was involved with Tupac's death?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you get away with stuff, and you like when you hear the song on the I put $1 billion on your head. Real kid, like you know, like and don't nobody want to kill nobody, and really don't let nobody know.
I mean, it's all f***ed up. It was a setup. It was a plot to my brother. I feel f***ed up about it.
This is a major development, folks. According to 50 Cent, the FBI wasn't only watching Sean Diddy Combs for recent allegations. He claims they were quietly paying attention because of something much darker. He says there's a trail of information that keeps pointing back to the deaths of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. In this video, we're going to break down some of the newest statements connected to the case from people who were close to Diddy, including Kirk Burroughs and Gene Deal, along with members of Tupac's own family like his brother Mopreme and his cousin Jamala, both of whom were extremely close to everything happening at the time. Tupac and Biggie were once tight friends, rising to the top together and changing hip-hop forever, but they were killed at the height of their success, just 6 months apart. Now people who were actually there are starting to speak up. Tupac's cousin, former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry, former LAPD detective Greg Kading, and even a former Crips member are all sharing parts of what they say is the same story. Many believe Tupac's death was planned by someone, and Kirk Burroughs, a co-founder of Bad Boy Entertainment, has claimed he believes Diddy was involved in the events that led to the shooting. 4 years, no one was ever charged, and the whole situation turned into an urban legend. People made documentaries, wrote long theories, and treated it like one of the biggest mysteries in music history, and now it looks like investigators may finally be getting closer to answers. The dominoes started falling in 2023 when Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was indicted in connection with Tupac's case. Former LAPD detective Greg Kading said something chilling in a documentary, explaining that in his view, Keefe D. and Puffy Combs are basically the last major figures still connected to the story. During a recorded session with investigators, Keefe D. made explosive statements. He claimed that about a year before Tupac died, Diddy allegedly stood in a room full of Crips members and said he wanted Tupac and Suge Knight gone. Keefe D. also claimed that Diddy later offered $1 million for it to happen.
Keefe D. claims that there is this ongoing conversation. It happens on 3 different occasions. But most specifically when he and Puffy are at this place called Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset. And they're there. Things have spiraled out of control. Puffy's really concerned about, the welfare of his safety. And he tells Keefe D, man, I just need you to take care of this situation with Suge and Tupac. It's out of control. Tupac's on vinyl talking about killing kids when they grow up. And, it's just, it's just become this really serious conflict. And he says, I just need you to take care of him. And Keefe D's like, that's no problem. That's what we do. And so an agreement was made, according to Keefe D, for an amount of money. And they kind of just let it go at that point in time. But of course, Keefe D knows in the back of his mind, this is what Puffy wants done. And they all end up out in Las Vegas. Suge's out there.
Before you say that, there's a couple things I want to talk about. Sure. Vegas. So when you say that Keefe got offered an amount of money, according to him, was there a dollar amount?
Yeah, so there was a dollar amount. But I think that, the nuances of this conversation are that, like, man, I'll give you $1 million, whatever it takes. It's like exaggerated speech. But of course, when we interview Keefe D, he's like, yeah, that's what the agreed amount was, $1 million.
So according to Keefe, he's claiming that Puffy offered him $1 million to Suge or Tupac?
Both of them. Yeah, both their names came up. And according to Keefe D, he says, Tupac's put himself on the list by all the shit talking that he was doing.
The tapes don't stop there. Keefe D also spoke about a gun that was supposedly hidden in a car linked to Eric Von Zip Martin, a man known as a powerful figure with very close ties to Diddy. Tupac's brother even pointed out that both Von Zip and Diddy should have been seriously investigated if it was true that Von Zip was the one who handed Keefe D the weapon in the first place.
Yeah, I can see how Pac felt like they had something to do with the setup, man. But speaking of Puffy, right, how do you feel about the rumor that Puffy, he gave a guy named Eric Von Zip a check for $1 million to give to Keefe D to kill Tupac?
I'm familiar with the story. I'm familiar with the dude. My man Big Psych, rest in peace, used to know that dude.
So you met Von Zip before. So how does that make you feel, man? Somebody that you met, and I'm sure that he knew that you was Tupac's brother. How does that make you feel knowing that he's the one that provided Keefe D with the gun to Tupac?
I mean, it's all f***ed up. It was a setup. It was a plot to my brother. I feel f***ed up about it. I don't know that nigga, but I ain't got no love for none of them. Straight up. It sounds like a typical plot. See, but considering who that guy is to Puffy and to Keefe D, for it not to be addressed is weird. We will see.
Burroughs' journals suddenly become incredibly important here. Just days before Tupac was killed, Burroughs wrote that Diddy asked him to rent cars and drive from New York all the way to Las Vegas for the fight. That request immediately stood out. Flying would have been faster, easier, and way more logical, but Burroughs did exactly what he was told and made sure to document everything. He logged the dates, the costs, and the routes in detail. Those handwritten notes are now featured as part of the documentary. And it now looks like the FBI may be looking closely at those very same notes as part of their ongoing investigation into Diddy.
Security, Gene Deal, who was there to secure Puff, all the other warnings that we got that we needed more security, the snafu in the business world came in like this. You have a budget for everything that you do. The budget for Big in LA for the awards show ended that Friday night, Saturday morning, when a new budget started to get him from LA to London, where he would be taken care of with security, his friends, and everyone that he wanted to be with him in the style that he was accustomed to handle the press junket. When that didn't happen, that budget was never opened. The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security. The beef up. And we lost him. And in that decision, what it put us in, that decision put us in the worst situation that we could have ever been in. We lost our number one talent. We're on a West Coast where we're surrounded by enemies who told us not to be here. We really shouldn't have been there, but we were. Now we have to get out of there.
Just after midnight, Biggie left the party. While stopped at a red light, a car pulled up beside him. Moments later, shots rang out. Biggie was struck multiple times and was later pronounced dead. He was only 24 years old. After his death, a series of strange events began to unfold. Reports came out that Biggie had been planning to leave Bad Boy Records. Legal disputes over his publishing rights soon followed. Instead of Biggie being the main focus of tributes, Diddy appeared on the covers of major magazines. Just 2 months later, Diddy released I'll Be Missing You. The song became a worldwide hit, and his debut album followed, going multi-platinum. Years later, Diddy openly admitted that Biggie's death ended up boosting his own fame. That statement alone made a lot of people uncomfortable. But the pattern didn't end there. Over the years, several people closely connected to Diddy reportedly faced sudden health issues, were silenced, or passed away under unexpected circumstances. Allegations surfaced, lawsuits were filed, and stories would appear in the media and then quietly fade away. Now, Gene Deal, a longtime Bad Boy insider and former head of security, says the upcoming Keefe D trial could completely change the narrative, especially because of the defense strategy being used. According to Gene, Keefe D's legal argument is simple and direct. He's claiming that the chain of events surrounding Tupac traces straight back to Puff.
There's no physical evidence that Keefe D or had something to do with Pac's death. There's circumstantial evidence. There's people that could probably testify of what somebody told them or heard. So now, Keefe D, lawyers and them did a great job when they did trial by judge. Because the judge is looking for physical evidence. What ties Keefe D to Puff? What ties Keefe D to the Tupac? And how could they prove that either one of them has something to do with it? Somebody would have to get on the stand and say that I saw him, he told me, and they want to have to believe them. So, do they believe Keefe D? If he told a lot of different stories, you got to realize he may have told more than one or two stories, because he tell that story now. What about the stories he told prior to this? You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to look at that. You're going to look at, okay, did he get the money? Where's the money at? Who got the money? Who wrote the check? Who paid the money? Where did it come from? When did it come from?
Gene points out that there's no physical evidence actually placing Keefe D at the scene pulling the trigger. What exists instead are statements, secondhand stories, and claims about conversations that supposedly happened behind closed doors. That's exactly why Keefe's legal team pushed for a bench trial with a judge instead of a jury. A judge focuses strictly on concrete proof, not emotional narratives or dramatic testimony. So the real questions become impossible to ignore. What actually connects Keefe directly to Tupac's death? Well, for starters, Keefe himself has admitted to being involved in the situation surrounding Tupac.
And Keefe D's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to kill both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later. Very few people know that immediately after Tupac is shot and that white Cadillac is fleeing, one of the death row entourage, a guy named Alton McDonald, known as Buntree, chases after the Cadillac, and a second shooting takes place between the two vehicles. Alton McDonald's car is struck. In fact, within the Las Vegas murder files, there's a document that indicates that Alton McDonald's car had been struck by a bullet that night.
Yeah, and he even said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a murder for hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said Zip.
So the FBI told you the
they said
same
he was
thing.
a dirty motherfucker, yeah.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well.
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You're the last one to know everything, even lawyers, your friends. Everybody can cross your ass.
Gene says the only way this case truly comes together is if someone gets on the stand and clearly states, I heard this conversation. I saw this exchange. I know exactly where the money came from. But even that path is complicated. Keefe D has told different versions of his story over the years, and every time details change, all of his previous statements get put back under a microscope. Prosecutors would have to explain why this version should be trusted more than the others. Gene believes that if investigators could actually prove that money flowed from Diddy, passed through intermediaries, and somehow ended up connected to Keefe D, and if the people involved confirmed that chain of events, then the entire case would shift in a serious way. Gene has also maintained for a long time that Diddy and Tupac were not on good terms at all. And that's something even Tupac's own cousin has backed up over the years.
So I run into Suge. Pac had to fight with Orlando Anderson. He come upstairs to the hotel room. First of all, when we get to Vegas, right, he flipped on me. He like, yo, move. Cause I'm thinking when we get to Vegas, we're gonna turn up. It's gonna be all lit. But once we get there, he turned on me. Like, nah, Moo, I don't want you coming out. You and Kadada stay in the hotel and so forth. So I'm feeling the way. I'm like, oh, shit, ain't this, like, how you gonna bring us out here? Now we gotta stay in our rooms. So I'm rebellious, right? So I'm being rebellious, right? So Shook Pop comes in the room. He's talking about how he just knocked out some dude. I don't know who the dude is. I didn't know later that this is Orlando Anderson, the head of the Crip and all this crap. You know what I mean? So when Pop come in the room talking about it, I'm like, oh, word, say word, Pop. So he changed. That's when he changed from the orange button-up shirt that he had on, and he put on the green, like, basketball jersey type of shirt, right? So at this point, he's looking for the outlaws. He don't know where they at. And he's telling me and Kadada to chill in the room. That, everybody, they outside, they wilding. It's Robert Ween time. And again, showing his protection for us, he recommend that we stay in the room. But I came out the room anyway and ran into Suge. And when I ran into Suge in the elevator, he in there with his girl, right? So I'm like, yo, Suge, I know you heard how Pop knocked out homie. And before I could say homie, Suge gave me the silent, he put the finger on his lips to silent me. So that already gave me like, oh, let me tone it down a notch.
Looking back now, she believes he might have been trying to protect her, warning her in his own quiet way that danger was nearby. She also remembers how Tupac was acting that night. He was full of adrenaline, loud and intense, but still very protective of the people around him. He told her and Kid Ada Jones to stay in the room where it was safe. Kid Ada, who was his fiancée at the time, stayed calm and composed, supporting him without adding to the tension. Jamala confirmed something a lot of people questioned for years. Tupac really did plan to marry Kid Ada. He had real plans for homes, for family, for business, and for a future far beyond Death Row Records. Tupac wanted a way out and a chance at a new life.
This could be a week or two prior to us going to Vegas, right? So we in the kitchen, and Pac is on the phone. I'm in the kitchen, Pac is in the kitchen, and the outlaws, everybody scattered throughout the house, but Pac is on the phone, and this is what I seen with my own eyes. And Pac is going bananas, yo. He's wilding out. He's cussing out Death Row. Whoever, he didn't say, he just on the phone with somebody from Death Row camp. And he's going bananas. And all I hear him saying and screaming out is his masters, his masters. Yo, my brother's head was sweating. He had veins popping out his neck, his head. He was at 10. And at that moment, I was scared. You know why? Because I thought that death was coming to the house to knock us all out. You know what I mean? Because again, we're in California. We're around amongst people that we're not quite understanding their culture, their gang lifestyle and stuff. You know what I mean? Again, we're New Yorkers. I certainly don't understand it. So I was a little afraid, I must admit, and I thought that death was coming to the house to knock us all out, straight up.
And so when you see Tupac on the phone, had you ever seen him like that before?
No, not like that. Nope. Not like where his veins is popping out his neck and out his bald head. No. Not that angry. And that's what scared me, because of the anger, the rage that he was pouring out. You know what I mean? And it was like where I was just standing there stiff. I didn't even want to walk past him while he's on the phone. It's like, let me just stand here until he get off the phone, because he was, like I said, he was at 10 and he was pissed off.
Was it because he was planning to leave death row and start a new label that could compete directly with Bad Boy? That's definitely one theory, and it's one Tupac's own cousin appears to believe. These aren't claims coming from strangers chasing attention or money. They're coming from people who were genuinely close to everything that was happening at the time. And some of the strongest arguments pointed in Diddy's direction come from one of his former artists, Freddie P. He has openly said he believes Diddy was connected to what happened to Pac.
Do you believe that Diddy has something to do with Tupac?
Anybody with common sense, no. Anybody with common sense, no. It's kind of like the John Gotti situations, right? So Gotti kept for so long, we knew who Gotti truly was. The Paul Castellano situation, that's his name, right? You know who took out the boss. Carmichael, I think that's his name, whatever. You know, but you can't prove it. We know of Puffy indiscretions. We knew he killed Tupac. It was only, it didn't make sense for nobody else to kill Tupac. And for so many years, so many people try to spin the narrative and was saying it was Suge, but if you was in the streets, you knew it wasn't Suge. Because you in the streets, you gonna know somebody that knows somebody from that side who's reputable, whose word that you can trust and honor. They gonna spread the word. So we knew that it wasn't Suge because of what we heard Suge went through after. If you know, you know. Like, if you don't, you don't. So Suge basically was affected by the Tupac shit real bad. You get what I'm saying? He loved him like a brother. And I don't really think Suge probably loved nobody else like he loved Tupac. And I'm going to keep it real. That's the way it was brought back to me. From street inside a car in L.A. So, so many things that transpired since the Tupac situation, so many people's lives been affected, and Puffy just went on about his business.
Freddie then points to old lyrics and recorded moments that people brushed past for years. He says the truth has a funny way of sitting right in front of everyone, but you have to slow down and actually pay attention to hear it. According to claims that have floated around for a long time, there was always one big factor at the center of everything, and that factor was money.
Sometimes you get away with stuff, and you, like when you hear the song on the I put $1 billion on your head. Real kid, like, if you know, like, and don't nobody want to kill nobody, and really don't let nobody know. Like, you want to tell somebody, your son, your brother, somebody, even if you got to keep it G, and the streets can never find out. You want somebody to know. And when you hear the ad lib, you see it turned down, you had to turn it up and single it out, and you heard it. I put $1 million on your fucking head. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, which was the accusations that is the money that he paid Zip, right? If I'm not wrong, the money that he paid Von Zip was the money that Keith. Only reason Puffy is not locked up is because Von Zip stole the money, which at the time seemed like a creepy thing, but came back to save Puffy's fucking life, because the motherfucker he was willing to pay turned out to be a rat years later, and that would have bit Puffy all in the ass. But see, let me tell you something I do know, and it's from me to any street nigga. Them souls do not rest. And that's what I want to tell Puffy, Boosies, all the people we know. They don't rest, bro. You see, shit just won't get righter. We just got so, that day you just waiting on that knock on the door, because them souls don't rest, bro. And we was misled, a lot of us was misled to hurt each other and be kingpins and guns and gangsters.
Keef's trial is closer than ever now, set for August, and we'll be right here covering it for you with all the latest updates as they happen. This case has already taken so many twists and turns, and it doesn't look like the surprises are slowing down anytime soon. So the big question is, will you be tuning in to follow the trial yourself? Let us know what you think down in the comments.